Welcome, District 31 Toastmasters and other guests joining our meeting this evening. This is District 31 Club Close-Up, a video interview series where I interview clubs from District 31. We learn about their clubs and the great things that they're doing to engage their existing members and what they're doing to recruit new ones. I'm your host, Christian Austin, the 2023-2024 Public Relations Manager. And today we are going to be interviewing Toast Wizards. Toast Wizards is headquartered in Raytheon in Cambridge, but they do run virtual meetings, so you do not need to be constrained to that one location. In fact, they have multiple satellite locations where they have members joining their meetings as well. Very important point to point out about the Toast Wizards Club is that last year, listen up, last year, 10 out of 10 Distinguished Club Program points. That means that they were President's Distinguished Club, and they're a corporate club too. Let's give them a big round of applause for that achievement last year. Great achievement that not many clubs achieve, no less a corporate club. They were founded in 2014. So what that means, we're in 2024 right now. Do I sense a 10-year anniversary coming up for the Toast Wizards? Not too long off. In June, the 10th anniversary of the club. As I stated before, they meet virtually. And at the end of this video, we'll have a slide on how to contact the club to join their meetings. And the officers may want to say something in the conclusion about how to join their meetings, whether you're an employee or a potential guest joining in for a meeting or so. Today, we are going to be hosting a panel discussion where I'll be the moderator, and then all of our officers here joining us today will be our panelists. We'll talk about the club, what they're doing education-wise, what they're doing for membership, how to engage members, a myriad of different topics. So I advise all of you, before we get started to the interview, get your phone notepad out, get your paper notes out, your pen, because you're going to want to take some notes from the tips that the officers of the Toast Wizards Club are going to give us tonight. But before we get started, let's go around the Zoom room and learn about each of the officers of the club. Let's start first with the president of the club, Josh. Josh, can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Joshua Foshing, the current Toast Wizards president, and I joined to help to get better at public speaking. I've been a part of the club for several years, and it's allowed me to connect with other members in the company and also to grow my speaking capabilities.
For that, Josh. Great thing about joining a corporate Toastmasters club, as Josh said, to connect with other employees within the club that you might not normally meet, that come and gather at your Toastmasters club and get those speaking skills in addition to meeting new people in the company. Moving on next to our VP of Education. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hi, everybody. My name is Cindy Walsh, and I'm the VP of Education for Toast Wizards. I joined Toast Wizards in 2017 because I was absolutely terrified to speak publicly. Since then, I am less terrified to speak publicly because of the support of all of the Toast Wizards. I have held my VP position for 1.5 years, and I've really enjoyed working one-on-one with every member of our club. I'm always happy to meet new people, and I enjoy growing in my role and growing in my skills in public speaking and leadership. And I look forward to hearing from the other Toast Wizards officers. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Cindy. 2017, come to Toastmasters because she was terrified of public speaking. Now she's speaking to all of you on YouTube in District 31's Club Close-Up. How far Cindy has come? How many other stories do we have of people who joined Toastmasters just because of that? They had to get over that fear of public speaking, and it helped them advance those speaking skills and become more comfortable. Moving on next to the VP of Education. sorry, the VP of Membership. We just did the VP of Education. VP of Membership, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Christian. My name is Shubha Suresh. I've been a VP of Membership this year, and I've been a member of Toast Wizard for the past about 4 years. I joined Toast Wizard to overcome my fear of public speaking and also to improve my communication skills. And the club has been very supportive. It took me almost 2 years to give my first speech, and I'm here now. And I also communicate with a lot of colleagues, and I send them link to join to attend a meeting. So I'm excited to be part of the club.
Thank you for that, Suba. And 2 years for the icebreaker. That seems like a long time, but I don't think that's necessarily uncommon for people who have that fear of public speaking. The most important part, you got up and you did it, and look at now. You're the VP of Membership for the club. What advancements you've made, Suba. Congratulations for that. Moving on to our VP of Public Relations. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. My name is Lee Tarlin. I'm currently Vice President of Public Relations. I have previously been the Secretary and the Sergeant at Arms, and I'm looking forward to now being able to help spread the word about the club and get as many people interested and willing to join and try out a meeting as possible. I joined, I think, in 2018, and it was primarily to improve my impromptu speaking skills through the table topics section, but I've noticed a lot of growth in my own communication skills elsewhere, not only in the written speeches, but also in the evaluations. And overall, I've had a great time and happy to be part of this conversation.
Thank you for that, Lee. And Lee brought up the table topics, impromptu speaking, also evaluations to improve your speaking skills. At Toastmasters, part of it is speaking, but then getting that feedback from your evaluator, and the evaluator themselves is practicing impromptu speaking as they write that evaluation up fairly quickly and then deliver a speech on it. Good points you brought up there, Lee, about some of the skills that Toastmasters can help you gain that we don't necessarily think about. Moving on to our treasurer. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure thing, Christian. My name is Michael Mateo. I'm the current treasurer of Toast Wizards, but I've held every club officer role, including president, and I was an area director 2 years ago. I was one of the original founding members of Toast Wizards back in 2014. And I recently just earned my DTM award this past December, and it's been the highlight of my Toastmaster journey.
Congratulations on that, Mike, for earning that DTM award. We will post what a DTM award is in the description, a link to all of the requirements, including, as Mike said, having a district leadership position is part of earning that DTM. And we'll also post the district leadership positions, including the area director role that Mike mentioned just before. Thank you for that, Mike. And moving on, last but not least, our Sergeant at Arms.
Thank you, Christian. My name is Jack Dietz. I first joined Toastmasters through our Toast Wizards Club when it was being formed. I was kind of brought in and told, hey, we could use 20 people to sign up to form the club. And oh, by the way, would you like to be Sergeant at Arms? So 10 years later, I've taken that role again. In between, I've served most of the different officer roles within this club. I've also been an area director last year, and I'm a division director this year for this area, trying to pay my dues back to Toastmasters and also get more perspective on what other clubs do and see, in particular, if I can carry any messages over from what we've learned in this club, keeping it going for 10 years and having a great year last year to help others.
Jack, that's why you're joining us today, to help convey that information of what you did so well last year and the preceding 10 years and help out other clubs with some of that advice today during our panel discussion. And Jack also mentioned he was an area director and also now a division director. Again, we'll post all of those roles that you may be unfamiliar with in the description under this video. Now let's get started with our panel discussion. And the first question I have to ask is a question I haven't asked any other club because it's unique to the Toast Wizards. Toast Wizards. Why the choice of the name?
Well, Christian, I can answer that. So, like you said, BBN's a corporate club for Raytheon BB Technologies in Cambridge, Mass. And one of our original company logos was "Where Wizards Work." So if we had to choose a motto now, I would say "Where Wizards Speak" as a new motto.
Thank you for that, Mike. And that leads into my second question. I'd like to know, how would you describe the club, or should we say, what magic does the club have that draws your members in to the Toast Wizards Club? You don't have to raise your hand. You can feel free to chime in.
I wouldn't say that it's magic. I would say that it's a really good collaborative club that is really well organized, and we work really well together. Last year, when we were working on the DCP plan, we met with each, I met with each member, and we put a plan together on how to get there. And each member contributed at a personal level, but knew that that would help at the club level. So I think everybody worked really well together to put that into place and then to make it happen. And from club officers attending club officer training to folks giving speeches and then working collaboratively on recruiting and open houses. It was really a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed doing it together. And I'll stop talking there and let some of the other officers talk about their experience last year too, Christian.
Sure. Anyone else have anything to add? What I'll say with that collaborative environment where you're working together to achieve that goal, it sounds to me, Cindy, that brought all the officers together and helped the club be a cohesive unit last year during that very successful run for 10 DCP points.
Yeah, I'll just say, it was partly Cindy's effective communication of all of the different pieces involved in the DCP award, and that direct mapping that made it easy for all of us to follow.
So the planning out of the DCP in the beginning of the year, did you have a moment of truth and then fill out the club success plan to achieve those DCP points in the beginning of the year? It sounded like you did a good amount of planning and collaborating in the beginning of the year as the officer corps.
I don't think it necessarily followed the specific moment of truth, but I think the spirit was there.
Spirit was there, right? You knew what direction you wanted the club to go in, and you followed that direction during the year to make sure that you achieved the goals as a club that you were looking to achieve. So the key point is that there was a lot of planning that went into what you were able to achieve last year.
Yeah,
Anyone else like? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, another thing we looked at as far as the club success plan, the different DCP points and the requirements for each point and number of people needed to complete each level. And I think Cindy, our VPA, I think try to identify people in our club that would meet each of those levels and each of those DCP points. So we worked with that, trying to progress to those goals through the year.
And we checked in. Yeah, we checked in with each other. We checked in with the officers. We checked in with, members to see what kind of support they might need to achieve their personal goals. And then those personal goals kind of pushed us to the finish line.
It's the personal goals.
Look at things a different way. I feel like we have a group of members who all have brilliant ideas as well as great personal stories to share. It's great that the club can help draw that out of people. And it means that every time we show up for a meeting with a couple of prepared speeches and some great topics, that we get to hear these variety of different viewpoints, histories, new ideas coming out. And so every meeting is different and engaging, and I'm happy to come back every time.
Jack, that's a really good point. It's not just about you as an individual practicing your speaking. It's that story that you give, that different viewpoint that you give that maybe somebody else has not thought about, maybe haven't heard about before. You're telling a story to the club in giving those speeches as well, which again helps bring the employees together. As we said in the introduction, meeting other employees within the company, in the club, and learning about them through the stories they tell in the speeches that they give. Anyone else like to comment on that question? Or if not, we can move on to the next one. All right, we talked about goals and member goals just before. Do you find that members, being a corporate company, are joining the club to improve their work skills? And if so, what has the club done to improve these particular work skills? And if not, what goals do members have, and how are you helping them work towards these goals?
In my experience, other officers can speak for what they've experienced, but I've found that there are a lot of people who join Toast Wizards because they have a friend who is in Toast Wizards and says it's a really good collaborative experience. And then once they come and join, they sit in on a couple of meetings, they start to see the benefit of all of the communication practice that goes on during the meetings. And it becomes not just a social experience, while that still is always there, but also people start to realize what they want to work on themselves, whether it is evaluations or the table topics, which it was for me, as I mentioned earlier. People all have different goals, and they see that the community is just there to help everybody improve on their own goals. So I think it's really cool that Toast Wizards gives a lot of different aspects of communication that you can choose to focus on all together with other people who are also trying to do the same thing. And I think that helps people stay. It brings people in, and it helps people stay.
Covered a lot there, Lee. Drawing people in, tell a friend. That's a very powerful way to recruit people. Bring a friend to the meeting. Maybe they don't know exactly why they're there, but as Lee, you mentioned, they see all of the aspects of speaking and leadership the club can provide, and then they home in on an area that they want to get better at, such as impromptu speaking, and they say, this club can really add some value to my goals in particular. And I'm glad that my friend brought me here to expose me to what Toastmasters is able to do for them and for me as well. Anyone join the club to get better at a particular corporate goal that they have, maybe in a review at the end of the year, or maybe a presentation you had to give, or a sponsor meeting, anything like that, draw any of you or any members to the club?
It's definitely something that drew me to the club. As a corporate club, we have performance reviews every year where we're supposed to identify goals for that year. And one of them is a professional development goal. So a lot of people use Toast Wizards to satisfy that particular goal.
Toast Wizards to let the boss know that, yes, I am getting better at communicating. I am getting better at presentations. And in fact, I'm gaining leadership skills as an officer in this club as well. All great things to be able to tell your boss at the end of the year.
I can think of 3 specific ways that I've seen people take skills from Toast Wizards and bring them to customer interactions. One is being able to run, say, a meeting with an hour-long time slot and an agenda, and try and make sure that you actually get through all of the agenda items while still hearing what everyone has to say and come to a decision by the end of the hour. Just the practice of being Toastmaster for a meeting and stepping through the agenda and keeping track of, okay, we're actually running a little bit ahead here, or I need to gracefully move on to the next topic, or else we won't get to the rest of this. can be very useful training happening in the moment. Second one is often at a large meeting, you might have, say, a 20-minute block to give your presentation. You can't necessarily take your presentation itself and fit it into like a 5 to 7 minute Toastmasters slot, but you can at least get the practice for, here, can I execute my outline in a given time? Okay, great. Now I have a little bit more time to drop in the technical details here and here and here. And I have prepared multiple speeches within saying, let me take just the bones of it, give it to my club, see what I could use to work on as far as structure, and then let's take it on to visit the customer and present in front of an audience. And the third one is the short term, either the meeting interruption or the elevator pitch, someone asking, what do you think about this? And how do I take that? Table topics is great practice for doing can I gather my thoughts so I sound like I'm as intelligent as I am in my brain, and give a reasoned response to the, say, 90 seconds there is until the elevator gets to the next floor, or until you've used up the time that was available in the meeting where you're just a participant, but you managed to get your 2 cents in.
Zach, 3 great points. The last one in particular, table topics, is made for the elevator pitch. As you just said, 90 seconds, right in the middle of table topics. You need to get to the point, get somebody's attention, and get out. If you want to practice that elevator pitch, table topics is a great way to do it. And then meeting management, something we haven't mentioned yet. You need to keep that meeting on time to an hour. That's something that we do every single meeting. We have an agenda. We stick to the agenda, and if we don't stick to the agenda, the general evaluator is going to say, next meeting, you guys need to rein that time in because we went way over on those roles. So something you get to practice routinely is that meeting management as well. And then those abbreviated presentations, get that structure down, refine it for the customer, and then give that longer presentation with all the details to the customer that's fine-tuned from the feedback you got in the club meetings. All fantastic points for anyone in a corporate club.
I had a 2-day long meeting where people were giving 20-minute presentations back to back that were stretching towards 30 minutes. And our customer, the program manager, actually borrowed our green, yellow, red cards and started using them to try and get these academics back on track, because they wanted to say everything. This is their only time to give the presentation, but they weren't respecting the time of everyone else in the meeting in order to do so.
That is great. Bringing the Toastmasters timing cards to the corporation to try to get presentation timing in line. For those not familiar with the green, yellow, and red cards, they're just like stoplights telling you when you've met your time, when you're a minute or so before your time, when you're halfway through, and then red card when you're at your time. Something we can post in the description as well for those not familiar with timing cards or stoplights that we use at Toastmasters. Any other thoughts about goals and the company's relation to Toastmasters? If not, I'd like to ask you about education. Last year, the club had 12 completed pathway levels. Wow. Checked every single box on that Distinguished Club program. So how are you encouraging members to give pathway speeches? And after they give the speeches, how are you getting them to go into base camp and make sure they officially sign off on each of those projects?
I can take that question, Christian. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we made a solid plan, and we check in with members frequently. So if we see that somebody hasn't given a speech in a couple weeks, we reach out and say, hey, you know, you've said that you're going to be doing speeches at various intervals. Is there any help that you might need or support to write your next speech? And generally people say, no, just check the agenda. I'm in next week. So if I haven't looked ahead far enough, people generally have put themselves onto the agenda for the next meeting, which is always a nice surprise. We do check in frequently because people do get busy. Life is complicated, and work is work, and there are lots of other commitments that people have. So we also want to kind of have a light touch and not pressure people to do things, but we do want to remind them that this is a club that they joined and they've made a commitment, and we want to support that as best that we can. So that is one of the ways that we are able to, you know, reach all 12 levels with folks. We had kind of a perfect storm of new people and veteran people who were, you know, working on their first few levels of their pathways, and folks that were finishing up some of the levels too. So it's nice to have a good mix of new folks and veteran members, because the new folks learn from the veteran members and vice versa.
Right, so Cindy, a good mix of those pathway projects. As you said, the newer members learn from the veteran members. Maybe as a newer member, I'm not sure what I do for a level 3, 4, or 5 projects. Through examples of the more veteran members giving those projects, checking off those pathway levels, the newer members have a good example and see that they can do it as well. Or reach out to that veteran member and say, hey, what did you do for that project? I'm not really sure what to do. You did a great job giving that speech, and I see you got credit for a level 3, 4, or 5 in the Pathways Education Program. And Cindy, can I just ask an elaborative question with Basecamp? Now, the member gives the Pathways speech in the meeting. They've given all the speeches in the level, but now they need to go back and check off that speech in Basecamp formally to make sure that the club gets credit. Is that another item where you're checking in with them on?
Yes, and I have to give credit to Mike here, because I learned to be a VP from Mike. Mike taught me how to go into the various places as the person who approves the level completions, and there are 2 steps, so you have to be really careful when people finish levels. But what we do when someone gives a speech is we reach out to them right after the meeting and let them know that they should go right into Basecamp, because they earned it. They've done the speech, they should earn the completing of that speech. And they go, generally folks going right into Basecamp, finish their post-speech assessment and complete the speech. And then I also tell them that it cues up the next speech and gives them momentum to carry them into the next step.
Cues them up and take that momentum and go with it, right? They earned it. Make sure they formally get credit for it and do it right afterwards as well. It's a lot of other things in life or in work. If it's right in front of you and it's going to take not a lot of time to do, check it off so you don't forget to do it. Great tip on getting members to get that credit right away in Basecamp right after they finish it and ride that momentum into their next project. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add to encouraging members to get pathway projects or signing them off in Basecamp? If not, we will move on now and talk about membership and recruiting. As in the great accomplishment with education, great accomplishment in membership recruiting last year with 8 new members in a corporate club. Very commendable. What are some of the marketing methods that you're using that are working well to recruit members? And are there any tips you can give on member recruitment?
I can take that question. So I'm kind of new to this role, but I learned from a previous colleague who was VP of membership. We conduct open houses in an open house contest where we invite the whole office. It's also so they can look at they can visit and they can, how do I say it? When we conduct because it's an open house, it's open to the whole company, and they get to see how it is done, the open contest, and also we do a public Zoom some of the meetings where we send it out to the whole company wide, and since it's Monday evenings, so anyone can drop in and sit in the meetings, and they like the format. The third point is sometimes in the when we meet colleagues in the hallways, we start chatting to them and they propose interest and we send links. And so they get interested and they attend the meetings and they end up joining the club. They like the format, they understand how it helps them professionally as well, so with their communication skills. So they start joining up. So we got few members that way.
Thank you, Suba. And on that last point, that's along the lines of what Lee mentioned with talking up Toastmasters to friends, giving them that information, or maybe, as Lee said, bringing them along to that meeting. A great way to recruit new members in the company. Hey, Suba, how did you get over that fear of public speaking and get up in front of that lectern and give that icebreaker speech? Well, I went to a very supportive club that helped me gain my confidence, get in front of the people and give that speech. And that's how I'm improving my speaking. Maybe you should come visit the meeting as well and see what it can do for you. The other thing I'd like to ask, you mentioned public Zoom open to the company. That's a very interesting topic. Is that posted on, say, a company bulletin board to come see what the Toastmaster meetings are like, or how does that typically work?
There is a public email. So we send the links out through the email. There's a company-wide email. So we send the information out through the email.
Okay. And then anyone who has the email, they have a Zoom link and they can just drop in on the meeting?
Yes. And I think some senior members can pitch in and give some more information on it.
Great way to get badly.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that I remember that we had a pretty successful email campaign during last year where we have four different subgroups within the company, and we kind of split up into different, each one of the officers took a different group, and we would send out personalized emails to people that we knew in the company. It was sort of a templated email, but it was still personalized so that we would get individual responses from people, basically saying, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware of this club. We do have a meeting coming up. Here's the link to the Zoom meeting. Here's more information. Here are some people you can ask to get more information. Is this something you might be interested in? And then with the meeting that we were pointing people to, I remember we had a whole lot of guests, people that we had never seen before, not all of which became recurring members. You can't get them all, but we did get several new members from this personalized email campaign. And I know that people feel more warm towards a community that, is personally reaching out to them. So I think that strategy worked well compared to just a general company-wide, here's a link you can join if you're interested. So that worked well for us and helped get us those points last year.
Great idea, Lee. A couple of points that you made there with breaking it up into 4 different groups so that one person doesn't have to do it all. There's no reason that you as the VP of PR have to do all of that. Other members, officers or members too, could help out with that campaign. And that personalized email, the personalized touch, you always like when somebody addresses you, as Lee said, that sometimes the generic email, it just goes into the trash bin. If it looks like it came from somebody personally addressed to you, you're more likely to open it and read it and engage with the email as well. The last question I have for that, Lee, is this: the 4 groups that you broke up sending the emails out, were they groups of people that were familiar with the sender of the email?
Yeah, we do have people across the club. One of my favorite things about the club is that I see people here that I wouldn't see on a day-to-day work life. So yes, we did try to split it up so that the people sending an email to a particular group worked in that group generally, knew some of the people. And yeah, that just added that extra personal connection. You know, hey, remember I saw you the other day. Why don't you come join a Toastmasters meeting? It's the email equivalent of just running into each other in the hall.
Great. Thank you for all those tips, Subha and Lee. Anyone else have anything else they'd like to add about marketing and recruiting? If not, I'd like to talk about interaction with HR. Being a corporate club, HR can help advertise the club. They can also make your club part of their continued education program. So my question is, how do you interact with HR, and do you interact with other resource groups within the company? Can you please tell me about that interaction if you are?
I could answer this question. So again, being a corporate club, we're kind of limited to people within the company. And after 10 years, most people have already heard about Toast Wizards in some way of in some form. So we talk to HR. We try to get contact information for new hires that they'll send us, and reach out to those individuals personally and invite them to Toastmasters meeting. I'm trying to think of any other ways. I don't think we interact with other groups. We might reach out to some department leads to have them mention Toastmasters at a department meeting. Corporate meetings will maybe have a mention in one of their slides at some point as well.
So asking for the new hires, because as a new hire to the company, Toastmasters has a lot to offer them, not just speaking and leadership skills, but as we talked about several times, the community of people that you meet within the Toastmasters Club. Great way to introduce new employees to other employees around the corporation. And then you also mentioned slides, Mike, as well. Are these briefings that are given periodically to management about what the different divisions in the company are doing, or different resource groups are doing in the company?
Yeah, there are sometimes each group has a department meeting where in the past we've had someone from one of our members from the club that's in that group maybe pitch Toastmasters. They might show a slide deck, so we might have a slide within that slide deck. We also have company all hands meetings that's more towards the whole company. And again, in the past, we've had people talk about Toastmasters, or they put up some slide about information about the club. I think this year there are other options available. We have like a corporate internal website that we can use. We have, I think, video monitors that we can put messages about Toastmasters, around the company buildings and stuff.
So a lot of ways that you can interact with the company media and HR to advertise the club. So working with other people or organizations within the club to advertise, within the company, I should say, to advertise the club. I'd like to move on now to welcoming guests. So what does the club do to welcome guests and follow up with them? And is there any particular system that you have in place, like a standard operating procedure?
Yeah, so I can answer that. When we have a new guest, we like to mention it in the top of our club meetings, so have them recognize that it's important that they have shown up, and then they get to see the meeting as it progresses. And we also allow them to comment on their experience after they've finished the meeting, to kind of make it a more memorable experience. And then follow up a day or so afterwards to kind of gauge their interest on moving forward with the club.
So engaging them right away, welcoming them to the club meeting. When you have them share their experience, is there a portion in the meeting where they can get up and speak about how they felt about the meeting?
Yes, we incorporate that at the closing of the meeting.
So closing of the meeting, have the general evaluator, but you also have the guests giving an evaluation on the meeting and their interpretation as well, so that their opinion of what you did and their experience is known. They get to speak, you get some feedback from them as well to see if there's something you could have provided them next time, or if you did everything that they were looking for in that club meeting. And then follow-up as well. We mentioned follow-up before, in following up on education goals, people signing up on the agenda, as Cindy mentioned before, that follow-up with guests as well to make sure that they got what they wanted to out of the meeting is really important. Any other items? Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, I was just going to add that we also encourage all of our guests to participate in table topics. There's no preparation required. So quite often we have a guest show up, and if they're feeling comfortable enough, which a lot of the time they do, they'll give a table topic, even though it's the first meeting that they've ever been to. Not everybody does this, but we love to see it when a guest comes and immediately feels comfortable enough to speak in front of people they may or may not know. So we definitely encourage guests to participate throughout the meeting, not just when giving their evaluation at the end.
So although they're not members of the club, they can get up and they can participate in table topics or other roles as well, if they're comfortable. Are you calling on guests to take roles, or is that just strictly up to them if they want to volunteer?
We'll usually have the roles filled except for table topics speakers. So we don't usually ask our guests to, be the timer or be the counter. But if we have a guest who wants to figure it out, why not?
So low pressure situation. If they want to get involved early, why not? You're welcome to get involved early, but we're not going to put you in a role that you're not comfortable with. But feel free to participate even as a guest. Anything else that you'd like to add about welcoming and following up with guests? All right, if not, we will move on to the concluding question of the panel discussion. And for that, I have to ask you, why should somebody come visit the Toast Wizards?
I think they should come visit the Toast Wizards for interesting speeches, excuse me, and also thoughtful evaluations by the members.
Interesting speeches and thoughtful evaluations. We heard about that. Learn about members through their interesting speeches, get that evaluation, help improve yourself as a speaker through that evaluation and feedback for the next time you give a speech. Anyone else?
I think it's a great experience when you get to visit another club. Our club, we have the usual roles with prepared speeches, table topics, evaluation period, and we help support one another as we're developing our communication and public speaking skills and leadership skills. And we try to add a little bit of humor, keep it lighthearted at the meetings. We enjoy meeting new people and visiting other clubs. We've captured the District 31 traveling gavel on 3 separate occasions, and each time we dressed up as something different. We were Men in Black at one time, we were pirates at one time, and we were Vikings one time. So we try to have a little fun at our meetings.
Mike, can you talk very briefly about what that traveling gavel is for those who don't know, and we'll mention that in the show description as well.
Sure, the traveling gavel, if you don't know, is an award. I think it's a red pickup truck with a gavel on it encased in a glass thing, and a club would capture the gavel from another club by taking on, I think you had to fill 3 roles with your members in the other club's meeting. You go visit them at their club that has the gavel and participate in their meeting, and then you get to take the gavel back to your own club. And there's I believe a book that you jot down an entry that you capture the gavel, and announce it on the website, and then someone else will eventually try to capture it from your club by visiting your club. I believe it's the gist of it.
It is a great way to get clubs to interact and to have a little bit of fun in the process. We'll show a picture of that truck with the gavel on it in the website link to the traveling gavel. Any other concluding thoughts?
It will be remiss if I don't say we have also creative table topics. So the table topics are always creative. So whoever is a topics master for each time. So it's always a surprise.
Creative table topics always makes the meeting fun. Something a little different, something maybe a little unexpected as well.
I'd just like to say one more thing, Christian, and I've probably said a lot during this panel discussion, but when I joined Toast Wizards, I did not expect this experience, and I have been really, really fortunate to work with such a great team of people and with lots of really fun members. So I really look forward to our meetings every 2 weeks, and I just want to let people know that if they haven't joined Toastmasters, or if they're in a club, they should make a commitment to go every interval that a club does meet, and they'll get so much more out of it.
Thank you for that, Cindy. And would anyone like to tell our listeners how they can join the Toast Wizards meetings?
I believe you can find us on the Find a Club link on the Toastmaster International website. And with our information, there's also a contact club button that you can click on, and we'll one of our officers will receive an email.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Mike. And we'll include information at the very end of this video you see very shortly and in the description about how to join a Toast Wizards meeting. Thank you all for your concluding thoughts. Before we convene, I'd just like to conclude, I'd like to feedback what I heard during the meeting as well. Toast Wizards, when you join as a new guest, you are important to the club. You come in, you're greeted, you're not just left to go sit on the side with no interaction. When the meeting's in progress, you're welcome to take a role. In particular, take one of those creative table topic roles and give a speech as a guest, or maybe even fill another role if you feel that you're comfortable doing it. There's no pressure there to do it, but you're more than welcome to participate in the Toast Wizards meeting from the very start. Members share their experience. The newer members gain experience from those senior members who are giving those upper level speeches. So come to a meeting and learn from senior members who are achieving those higher level goals, and help learn from them and increase your public speaking and leadership abilities. If you're in the company, there's plenty of things that you can do to advance your corporate goals within the company as well. For example, have you thought about time management? At the Toastmasters Wizards meeting, you learn how to stick to the time of each of the roles and stick to that hour time frame of the meeting, not to go over like in your corporate meeting. So get that practice. Or are you practicing for an elevator pitch? Maybe you won't have to stick to that 90-second elevator pitch. Come visit a meeting, practice that during table topics, and impress that customer or somebody you're trying to sell during the corporate day. It's a well planned out meeting from the very beginning of the year. The company plans out the Distinguished Club program. There's educational goals, there's membership goals. So as a club officer watching this meeting, go back and rewind and take some of these tips about how Toast Wizards is planning out their meetings, planning out their goals, and helping members succeed. And after all, when you come to a Toast Wizards meeting, you're going to experience the magic of the club. Thank you all for joining me tonight for the District 31 Club Close-Up. I enjoyed the panel discussion with all of you, and I wish you the best Toastmasters year yet.